Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into the weeds on the Xero Shoes Scrambler Low EV.
Yeah, specifically looking at it through the eyes of barefoot shoe users, pulling from places like baretread.com.
Exactly. So we're going to skip the intro to minimalist stuff. We figure you listening are already familiar with zero drop and wide toe boxes.
Right. The mission here is really to dissect this shoe. What makes the Scrambler Low EV tick based on how people are actually using it?
Okay, let's get started then. First impressions. They seem overwhelmingly positive. People are throwing around words like amazing, perfect.
Yeah, and not just positive, but the versatility keeps coming up. It's not just being pigeonholed as a trail runner.
Right, people using it for hiking, weight training, even golf. That's quite a range.
It really is. Suggests a pretty interesting balance. Enough flexibility and ground feel for different activities, but still functional.
And someone even hit a 5K PR in them. That definitely points to some performance capability.
It does, within that minimalist framework, of course.
Okay, let's talk fit. That's always huge for barefoot shoes. Sources say anatomic, natural. What does that translate to?
Well, it really comes down to that genuinely foot-shaped toe box. It's wide, yes, but it's shaped to let your toes actually spread out naturally.
Not just generally wide, but specifically shaped.
Exactly. And most people find them true to size, though. There was one mention of needing to size down slightly. Foot volume always plays a part.
Sure.
But the key takeaway seems to be this balance, lots of room for the toes, but your foot isn't swimming. It feels secure.
And comfortable right away.
Yeah.
No break-in needed seems to be a common theme.
Yeah, that pops up a lot, likely down to the materials, the upper, the sole. They're flexible from the get-go, no real stiffness to work through.
Makes sense.
Plus, you've got that removable 3.5 millimeter insole, so you can kind of customize the feel immediately, more ground feel, or keep it in for a touch more cushion.
Right. But you mentioned it's a high-volume fit. Does that cause issues?
It means there's quite a bit of space, especially midfoot and toes. So getting the lacing right is important for that secure lockdown. You don't want your foot sliding on uneven ground.
Okay. Let's shift to ground feel versus protection. Always a balancing act on trails.
Definitely. And this shoe seems aimed squarely at experienced barefoot users who want that connection but still need some protection.
So how does it achieve that?
It's using that Michelin FiberLite sole tech with some embedded trail foam. The idea is it's thin and flexible enough for good ground feedback, but just thick enough, like one review said, to stop sharp rock corners from, well, stabbing your foot.
Okay. A practical description.
It really sums it up. You feel the ground, but you're not totally vulnerable.
So it's for people who find some minimal shoes maybe too minimal for rough trails?
I think that's the sweet spot they're aiming for. It offers more underfoot than, say, some super thin options, but it doesn't have a rock plate.
Okay. So really technical, sharp, rocky terrain might still be a bit much.
Potentially, yeah. If you're constantly landing hard on jagged stuff, you might want something with more specific underfoot armor. This is more balanced for general trail use.
Gotcha. What about traction? That Michelin outsole mountain bike lugs sounds grippy.
And the reports largely back that up. Excellent grip seems to be the consensus on dry trails, even some mud, rocks, loose stuff.
Even wet asphalt. That's surprising.
Yeah, that was noted. Good for runs that mix trail and road sections, perhaps.
Any weaknesses in the grip department?
The usual suspects, maybe. Really deep, slick mud or super smooth wet rocks. It might not be the absolute best in those extreme conditions.
Kind of a trade-off for all-around performance.
Exactly. It seems designed for reliable grip across a wide range of common trail conditions, not necessarily peak performance in one specific extreme.
And durability of that outsole. Trail shoes take a beating.
Seems pretty solid. That one user reporting next to nowhere after 100 miles is a good sign.
That is good.
But there's a counterpoint. A YouTube review mentioned that heavy use on tarmac could wear down those lugs quicker.
Right, surface matters. Makes sense.
Definitely something to keep in mind depending on where you run most.
Okay, let's look at the upper. Needs to breathe, but keep junk out.
Yeah, the mesh is designed to be abrasion resistant and breathable, help with moisture wicking. Pretty standard goals for a trail shoe upper.
And this EV version.
Yeah.
That signifies an update.
It does. Specifically, they apparently used a tougher plastic weave in the forefoot.
Addressing a potential weak spot.
Seems so. The original Scrambler Low apparently had some issues with durability right there at the flex point, so this EV version should be tougher.
Any other durability features on the upper?
There are welded overlays where the upper meets the sole, That adds some reinforcement against separation, which can happen with trail abuse.
Okay. But the toe cap isn't like a steel toe or anything.
No, definitely not. It's more about resisting scrapes and scuffs than protecting against, like, kicking a rock really hard.
Wow.
Limited impact protection there.
Got it. Now, weight. For barefoot folks, lighter is often better. Where does this sit?
It's around 9.2 ounces for a men's 9, 7.4 for a women's 7. Some reviews felt that was maybe a touch heavy for a true minimalist shoe.
Okay. But does that weight detract from the overall feel?
It doesn't seem to be a deal breaker for most. It's still zero drop, still flexible. It's seen as, minimal but tough trail option.
So the extra grams maybe contribute to the protection and durability we talked about.
That's likely the trade-off, yeah. A bit more substance for a bit more resilience on the trail.
We mentioned versatility earlier. Any specific uses where it really shines or surprising places it's popping up?
Well, definitely trail running and hiking, including longer distances, assuming your feet are conditioned for minimalist, of course.
Always the caveat.
Always. And it's often compared favorably to something like the Xero Mesa Trail 2, but offering, a bit more protection, more aggressive grip.
So a step up for rougher stuff.
Kind of, yeah. And we heard from someone who switched from, traditional ultras and Hokas and found these way better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a big shift.
It is. And that golfer using them, it just highlights again that potential beyond the obvious trail running niche. Anywhere ground feel and natural movement are good.
Okay, we've covered a lot of good points. What about potential drawbacks? What should people be aware of?
Well, the stock insole comes up as pretty basic, doesn't offer much extra support or cushion, but that's kind of the point of the shoe, right?
True. You can always swap it out if needed, I suppose.
Exactly. And the reminder that, minimalist shoes aren't for everyone right out of the gate. There's an adaptation period.
Crucial point. Anything else?
One reviewer mentioned a potential worry about failure at the toe bend area, but hadn't actually seen it happen, just something they were watching.
Okay, a theoretical concern.
And minor wish list things from one user, like a gator trap on the heel or a flatter climbing zone on the sole for scrambling.
Yeah.
Niche stuff.
Right, specific use case tweaks.
Yeah.
Lastly, value. What's the bang for your buck here?
You've got the retail price, obviously, but that 5,000-mile sole warranty Xero offers is pretty significant.
That's a lot of miles. Shows confidence.
It really does. So considering the versatility people report, the durability features, and that warranty backing up the outsole, it seems like a pretty decent value proposition overall.
Okay, so boiling it all down, what's the verdict from these reviews?
I'd say for the experienced barefoot shoe user who wants to hit the trails and wants that mix of ground feel with decent protection and grip, the Scrambler Low EV looks like a really strong contender.
It's hitting a specific niche, but hitting it well, it seems.
Yeah, well received within that target audience. It delivers on being a more capable trail option while still sticking to those barefoot principles.
So for you listening, if you're already in the minimalist world and looking for something more trail-focused,
the Scrambler Low EV should definitely be on your radar. It seems to balance those key elements: feel, protection, grip, durability, pretty effectively for off-road use.
All right, here's something to think about then. Reflect on the kinds of trails you actually run or hike. Where do you fall on that spectrum of wanting pure ground feel versus needing more underfoot protection? How might this specific balance offered by the Scrambler Low EV fit or not fit into your own footwear needs and the activities you love?